fact that John O'Brien lives in Quincy and he has been a friend of mine for a long time, is the circumstances that neither he or I can control. Two of the employees out of the 600 that I employ are members of this family, but they got the job by applying for the job and being qualified for the job. I mean, I don't condone promoting people who aren't qualified or taking people over people, and I've never called and never asked for anyone to be bumped ahead of anyone, even though the circumstances make it look like I had some role. I've never talked to Commissioner O'Brien in his job. I've never called him in his office. He's never called me. So he's made his own decisions, and I think those decisions need to be made overall in the context of what's right for judiciary. So the fault lies with the legislature for changing where the oversight comes from, and I believe that they were frustrated because the separation of powers was actually working the way it's supposed to.
Do you think that Commissioner O'Brien should step down?
That's a decision for him for probation. Obviously, if the Attorney General feels after an investigation that that is the right thing to do, then that's for their decision to make. The legislature has empowered him, and they have created this probation monster that's out there. And it's up to the legislature to put it back, the genie back in the bottle. I think, patronage hires exist at all levels, so they may have to investigate everybody, including the governor and the Attorney General herself. I think at the level that it's existed here, I think there needs to be some of the rocks need to be turned over and people need to look into it. So I've always supported hiring people who have the best qualifications for a particular job. And I think in probation there are specific skill sets. It's not just a place to stash people, it is a place to put people who are qualified to keep tabs on people who have broken the law. He was hired, I don't know what her exact title is today, and his daughter was again hired to do entry-level work at abandoned property when we needed to hire someone. We had a lot of turnover in abandoned property back when she was hired, which was pre-recession, and we filled those positions. Now, we might not be filling those positions now that we're in recession, but she's done a great job. And I would put her record up against anyone we have in our abandoned property division. They answer thousands of phone calls every day, and they return millions of dollars back to the taxpayers. So both at the lottery and at abandoned property, we make money for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We don't cost them any money. At the end of the day, we send more money back than we spend on our operations. I've asked for anyone to get a promotion or not to get a promotion. My conversations with the commissioner have been private and personal outside of the office. Never called his office. He's never called my office. We haven't talked about how he runs his office, and he hasn't talked about how I run my office. So there's been no connection. If folks in probation support me, as some do, they're able to write me a check. There's a great number of people at probation that can't stand me and would prefer to have nothing to do with me, including members of the Bulger family that aren't my best friends or nor promoting me nor will vote for me. So I think it's a balance, and certainly it is not throughout the whole division that I'm being supported.
Brian, as an ally, I mean, you say he's a friend of yours. You're also saying that you keep your work and your personal friendship separate. So is ally an incorrect term?
Well, I don't know what the term is. I guess you will define it. I know John O'Brien from the city of Quincy. He has 3 daughters. I have 4 daughters. We run into each other at sporting events throughout the city, which is how I got to know him before I even knew what he did for a living. And we have kept our acquaintance on the personal side separate from the jobs that we do.